Welcome back to the Steel City Sports. This is episode 2 of the podcast, and today I have my good friend here. When it comes to injuries, this is the guy that I go to personally. He has a master's degree in athletic training. He's currently training for that, and he already has a degree in... What do you already... You have a bachelor's. Athletic training, right.
Training.
So this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been around the block, and... Today I wanted to talk about Aaron Rodgers because we just got the report, 2-3 days ago that Aaron Rodgers is reportedly in the practice window. Aaron Rodgers coming back. Tell us about it, Jake.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's possible because he just had an Achilles tear. Anyone that gets that is out for 6 to 12 months. And keep in mind, he's almost 40 years old. Even if it was a partial tear, I really still don't see him coming back. That's why I really have a hard time.
I think if he even practices, this is completely fucking irresponsible by the New York Jets to even get him out there. I mean, in your opinion, if he re-injured it, his career's over, right?
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
He's already 40.
So what is the reasoning here from the New York Jets? I think it's just pure desperation, just given how shitty their offense has looked. I think they're desperate for headlines.
But, I mean, they're 4-7.
Right,
What's
exactly.
the point of even having him come back?
So medically, though, this is impossible. It's not going to happen. We're talking about under 3 months.
Yeah, that's what makes me think it's really not an Achilles injury then. Because if they have people clearing him to come back,
right?
He trusts them, or it's just Aaron saying, "All right, I'm going to do this."
And you were saying
on my own.
You were saying that it was maybe a partial tear.
Yeah,
but even then, that's still gruesome.
Yeah,
right?
It's not. It was like under 3 months. They had him coming back in under 3 months when it's 6 to 12 months.
For any Achilles injury.
I don't care
let alone
what
a
it is.
full
Yeah.
tear. It was reported that he had a full tear.
It was reported he had a full tear, and I'm thinking if it was a half tear, maybe, but still no.
So, realistically, there's 0% chance Aaron Rodgers is coming back this year. 0% chance.
There's Aaron Rodgers. There's probably a 5% chance he'll come back. You never know.
So medically though, if you were taking care of him, you would never clear this guy.
If I was the guy that was clearing him, I would say you're not coming back this year.
Never.
You're not coming back this year. Sit out, come back next
year. But
year.
we all know Aaron likes to live in La La Land. I'm not hating on the guy, but look at his track record.
Yeah. You know Aaron.
Look at Aaron's track record.
That's why I don't understand how... I just don't get it. They're not making the playoff. So
this is my theory on it. I think the Jets, and especially Robert Saleh, is desperate because, I think even before this year started, Robert Saleh was already kind of on a hot seat, because he's been around for 2-3 years now. The Jets haven't had a lot of success in his tenure. They completely botched the Zach Wilson pick. You bring in Aaron, you have all this hype going into the year, and he gets hurt. And guess what? This year's been a complete fucking disaster. This year has been terrible. 4-7. You look at the defense. This is a Super Bowl level defense, and I think that the only reason this headline I think comes out, it's like you said, it's not because Aaron's going to play. It's to get the buzz going. It's to keep that hype behind the Jets alive.
Yeah, because the Jets, after now,
4-7.
4-7. What is that?
4-7 is 4-7, especially in the AFC. There's no room for them to make it.
And even if he does come back,
what are they going to do? So you have to factor in rust. You have to factor in he's probably going to be a little more cautious with his, Achilles.
It's just silly.
All right, so we'll move on to our next segment here. So I did a short video about this last night, and I just wanted to get your quick take on it. But essentially, Roger Goodell is furious about the brotherly shove, and he is planning. Not only is he mad, he's planning on banning this move. What about this move is illegal? What is the precedent behind Goodell and the NFL banning this move?
I don't understand. How do you even ban a play?
Exactly.
How do you ban a play from football?
Because there's nothing illegal about it. I get it. It's not
working.
Good TV.
Right. What's the reason for banning it?
Because the other teams are crying about it because they can't stop it.
Well,
too effing bad.
If you can't stop it, tough shit.
Right.
It's working.
My exact point.
And I don't believe you should ban any play from the NFL if it's working.
Right. And it's not illegal. There's nothing illegal. The offensive line essentially just fucking falls down.
It's the same thing as a normal play. They're just falling down.
Right.
But you could fall down on a normal play.
And it is essentially the most unstoppable move. We know how many, countless of times the Eagles have been bailed out.
You know what's funny about this, though? The Eagles are the only one that can perfect perfected.
Because they have the
I
best
haven't
line.
seen any other team really try it.
Because they have the best line
No
in
other
football.
teams tried it, though.
And you know what? Winning teams, what they do is they look at what are we best at. Let's accentuate that. And the Eagles, what do they have? The best offensive line in football. Let's highlight that. Let's use it. And that's exactly what the brotherly shove is. It's bullshit if they ban the move.
Did Goodell have a reason, or did he just say, I'm going to ban it?
I didn't see a report. I just saw he was furious and he wanted it gone.
That's silliness.
That's
stupid. Yep.
Okay, our next segment here is... Again, I did another video about this the other day, but MVP Dak, I think, is a joke for several reasons. But I get it, he's got the numbers. But you look at the teams that Dak Prescott has beat up on this year. It's a lot of Commanders. It's a lot of Giants. It's a lot of Jets.
Those mediocre teams.
Exactly. And we do this every year with the Dallas Cowboys. They look good. They get onto a hot run in the regular season. They blow out the bad teams. Then what happens? Just look at Dallas' last 3 years in the playoffs. They've lost all the time. They haven't been to an NFC championship before we were even born. Why do we keep doing this with the Dallas Cowboys?
We do it every year.
Every
it's the
year.
Same thing every year.
No one seems to ever learn.
They get to the playoffs, play 49ers type
They
teams.
play a real team. They get bludgeoned. They have 3 losses on this year against actual teams. Not Arizona. Take the Arizona game out. But whenever they played real NFC contenders, the Niners, they got pulverized by the Niners.
They got crushed.
They got bludgeoned.
Philly.
And then Philadelphia. I get it. It was a close game. Dak did good, but they lost. They lost.
I can't get over it. The 49ers beat them by what? 32 points.
It was a
so
mess.
Can they keep up with teams like that?
No, they can't.
So no. I don't care if you beat up on Washington. I don't care if you beat up on.
And this is an analogy I made the other day about the Steelers. You remember back 2020, we started 11-0 to start off the year, right?
Yeah.
Big Ben had MVP numbers that year. But you want to know why Big Ben wasn't in the MVP race? It's because everyone in the NFL knew that we were beating up on bad teams.
Exactly.
That 11-0 was nothing. Like, I was even telling you that at the time. Like, this 11-0 means that we were beating up on, Dallas when they were playing Ben DiNucci and... You remember the schedule that year. Yeah. And but did we take away and say Ben Roethlisberger's the MVP this year? No. Because we beat up on dog shit teams.
I don't think we ever said that once.
No.
I've never even thought about
that. So why the hell is Dak Prescott now you're seeing like the national media is now pushing Dak Prescott to be the MVP this year.
Because he's always had a tough time, blah blah blah,
Yeah, like, I think it is completely ludicrous if Dak Prescott wins an MVP. What's going to happen is he's going to get all this praise, and he's going to turn around and get fucking smacked in the playoffs by a real team, by Philly, by San Francisco, by Detroit. You look at Seattle. I know that they won the game against Seattle, but
that was gave up 35 points. Their defense gave up 35 points.
They highlight, the highlight of Dallas has been their defense this whole year. You can give Dak all his credit, give CD all his credit, whatever. But the reason why Dallas has won games is their defense. And their defense got exposed against Seattle.
You're saying MVP is the reason why you win games? Their defense is the reason why they win games. I don't think that. I mean, he's went off. But
he's beating up on the Commanders.
Not MVP.
The Commanders.
An MVP is the reason you win game. Right. Your guy there.
Yeah.
I think their defense is...
And I think when they play a real playoff team like a Lions or the Eagles or the Niners, that's one of those 3 teams. They're going to have to play on their realistic path to the Super Bowl.
The real teams, yeah.
I think it's a joke if you think that the Cowboys are getting to the Super Bowl. But just looking at their path, they're going to have to play either 1 or 2 teams out of Philly, Detroit, and San Fran. All those teams have way more potent offenses than Seattle. And Seattle hung 35 on your world caliber defense.
The track record says they won't get past the first game.
They won't.
And they won't. I don't think they will.
And you know why? Their defense is overrated, I think. And number 2, Dak crumbles in big games.
He does.
Just even looking at this regular season, that game against the Niners, it was billed as like the big game that week. It was the Sunday Night Football game. I remember week 5.
Yeah.
And Dak completely collapsed in that game. He was terrible. Go look at stats.
I just want to know how you give up 35 to Seattle. That's just... I don't really understand how that happens. Maybe I do. Because they play teams like you said, Washington,
Exactly.
Seattle's a little bit above those
The
teams.
Jets, the Giants. It's just a
And
lot.
them
Of...
giving up 35, yeah.
All right, so this last segment here, I wanted to just get your, literally have written here Yinzer shit. So I just wanted to get your take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Me and you have talked years about Canada and how much we've despised watching his offense. I think his specialty was the screen pass for -2 yards. I mean,
On third down, yeah.
Yeah, watching Matt Canada's offense wanted me to.
Yeah.
I wanted to tear my eyeballs out. But there's been a game played since Matt Canada's been fired against the Bengals.
And guess what?
What was your take on that game?
Guess what? They got over 400 yards in the game.
Right.
And
First game in 50-something.
56 games.
Right.
How do you know, I really saw a difference in that game though.
I did too.
The score didn't say it, but the yards and
So just stylistically, that game against the Bengals, I think, outside sources are going to look at that game and see 16-10. They're going to say, same old Steelers, so what? What's the big deal? But if you really watched that game, that wasn't the same old Steelers. Kenny Pickett had his most yards for the year. Freiermuth had probably the best game of his career. And Nodge went off for probably his best game of the year.
And the biggest thing was you saw the offense open up and throw downfield.
That's the key point.
They used their tight end.
Exactly.
The one that they got in the second round.
And Matt Canada was always on the sidelines. That was always the thing. It was
Yeah.
the sideline passes always. And now we actually, like you said, we opened up the middle
You
of
could
the
just
field.
see it was different.
And I hate to bring up preseason, but preseason, what'd they do? They went 3-0.
Downfield.
And all they did, I watched it, especially that Atlanta game, that Buffalo game. All we did was push the ball down the field.
And
throw the ball down.
every time Kenny was in, they scored a touchdown.
And it was starters. Like you can say these.
They were playing against Buffalo starters.
You can say these Yinzer morons are talking about preseason, but it was all against starters.
Yeah.
That's
So did Matt Canada not have control in the preseason, or what?
he did. He was the play
So
caller.
then, what was the difference?
I don't know.
Was he just not doing anything?
That's why I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah.
We don't have
We
to
can have a
ever
new
deal with
beginning
that.
with all
We
this.
don't have to. Yeah.
I feel like there was just a new beginning. That's all.
Yeah, and if you look back to Kenny Pickett's Pitt days, big part of his game was his arm. Like he could really throw the ball. I know he had Jordan Addison, but we got guys on this team just as talented as Jordan Addison.
And we haven't seen him throw a deep ball like that in how many weeks?
Exactly.
Last year,
Right.
I don't know.
So, the Steelers, they're 7-4. I think playoffs are very reasonable. We hold the top
like they
wild
can
card
make the
spot right
playoffs.
now. Yeah. So, pretty optimistic. So, Jake, definitely plan on having you back on here. I'd like to have you on here weekly. We'll see if that works out. But
Yeah, of course.
that has been the Steel City Sports Podcast. If you made it this far, really appreciate you checking it out. Go ahead and leave like and subscribe. Jake, is there any shout out you want to give?
My Instagram, J_Streussnig11. If you could follow that, please.
Right, the stud medical professional from the California University of Pennsylvania. Steel City Sports.
Love being on the
signing
show.
out. We'll see ya.